Hello, beautiful people. We are here, darlings. We are here, darlings. Yes. I don't know where that voice came from, but it felt like it just wanted to come out, so I let it out. I actually have those voices often when I read to my children, and they absolutely hate it. So, um, congratulations. You are the recipient of that, the voices my children hate. Just kidding. Welcome back to Life, Love, Laughter. I am your girl and your host, Nikki. Thank you so much for being here. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to just sit here and chat with you for an hour about things that I have happenings in my life. So first thing, thank you so much. If you haven't already done so, please make sure that you download the Spin Wax Radio app. That is the best way to listen to these podcasts. We are live every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the best way to hear me. So make sure you gather around your phone, your stereo, whatever you got, and listen to your girl. If for whatever reason you miss me, you can catch me on Sundays at 10 a.m. on your way to church. Before you go praise Jesus, you get a little laugh in, hopefully. So those are the two ways and the 2 days that you can hear me right now. Okay. If you need to hit me on social media, you can catch me on Instagram or TikTok, Life, Love, Laughter _Nikki. That's me. I'm your girl. I'm there. And I would love to chat with you. Send me a message. People don't really chat with me on those platforms. I'm going to get better, y'all. I'm going to get better about chatting on those platforms, but I don't. So help me get better at that. So today, the topic that I want to talk about is a tad bit controversial. And I'm not going to lie, I started not to talk about it because I don't do controversial topics. But this one can't be debated because it's just my experience. It's my experience only. I ain't talking about nobody else, what they went through, what they go through. I know this was crazy. Everybody experienced this in different ways, but this is simply me sharing my experience because I feel like no one talks about it, at least. But my husband really encouraged me to talk about it because he was saying, not many people talk about it because it's taboo. So just share my experience. So I'm gonna do it, y'all. This is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna share. So what I'm gonna talk about is COVID. I know it's controversial because it's not real to some people. It is real to others. I'm not here to debate if it's real for you or not, child, because you are who you are and your experience is your experience. Yes. But from my experience, I'm going to tell you what the doctor has said that I had. Okay. He has said that I had this. All right. So first, shout out to all of the frontline workers, the healthcare workers. Because this pandemic and this whole thing, I feel like it's been going on forever. Like my youngest daughter doesn't know what it's like to have me go into the office, like go into work. She has no idea what that means. The first time I did that, she was like, where you going? Why you not in your office? Sweetheart, this was the temporary office that was supposed to be temporary, but has been here for several years. So shout out to all the frontline workers, healthcare workers, teachers, everybody that helped to keep this country, helped to keep us moving during this time because it was dark for a lot of people. I am aware of that. So I'm probably going to be all over the place because I'm still trying to get my thoughts together around the whole thing, but I'm gonna try my best. So first, the mental toll. No one told me the mental toll it would take on me. I heard in the news. I'm not one that watches the news or listens to the news a lot, but it's kind of hard to escape. I have a husband that's a first responder, so he made sure I had facts every day. Even though sometimes they would go through one ear and come out the other, he always made sure I knew how many people were affected, blah, blah, blah. But the mental toll that it takes on you is far greater than anything I ever imagined. Just from wondering, Where did I get it from? How did I get it? Who gave it to me? Am I contacting everybody that I came in contact with to let them know that I had it, to advise them to get checked? I have to stay away from my children now, but I wasn't prepared. Like, I didn't have a contingency planned on, hey, if mommy's down for the count, these are our next steps, because daddy's a first responder. So he is essential. He's always working. Yeah, he can get a day or two, but everybody is in a deficit right now. Everybody needs all that they can get, all hands on deck. So, mommy don't get the, what do they tell you? 14 days, whatever. Everybody doesn't have that luxury, and that capability. So the mental toll was insane. So first it started off as a cold. And let me just say this. I am the person in my home that leaves the least. So I work from home. I do everything from home. Like, I don't go out. I don't go visit. I don't do nothing. I drop the kids off at school, but I'm in the car. I stay in the car. I go to the grocery store. Maybe sometimes I try to go at night when it's not that many people there, or early in the morning. But other than that, I ain't going nowhere. I was occasionally going to church with my mask on, always had a mask on in public. And I got it in my home first, which the mental toll was, I was pissed. I was so mad. Like, how in the world am I doing all of the stuff that the people said that I should be doing? And I get it. I'm the only one that got it in my house. Well, initially, but so angry. So really, so first off, it was Omarion. Sorry, not Omarion. Sorry. Omicron. I'm so sorry. There are so many names for this thing. I think we came up with the crazy names just to keep us from going insane. Like, Covey Cove. I don't know what other names that people came up. I just know Omarion was probably the one that I had, because it was simply like a cold. So I thought it was the end of 2021. I thought I had a cold, like a bad cold that was not getting better. I got up every single day at 5 a.m. I worked out with my homegirls. Hey, I couldn't push myself really hard. Like, I had, I'd say 45% energy, but I had enough energy to get out of bed, go downstairs, and work out. That's what I had enough energy to do. And after I finished working out, I had enough energy for about another hour or two, and then I felt drained again. But every single day I did that. I don't know if I pushed my body too much, but it did feel really good to just get up and sweat. Now, listen, I'm not telling anybody, if you get Omari, whatever the thing is, whatever COVID, if you get COVID, I'm not telling anybody, if you get COVID, to go work out and push yourself. I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying, for me, in my experience, what helped me not feel like death was getting up every single day and working out. Actually, 5 days a week. So I rested 2 days, but getting up and working out and moving my body and giving my body energy. I felt fine, but I mentally was beat down. Chest was hurting. What else did I have? Runny nose, like everything that you would had with a bad, I guess, flu. I think I took some chest congestion stuff. Like, when I was FaceTiming family members, they didn't know that I was feeling bad. And so it was very funny. A couple times I would FaceTime a family member, and I would get on camera and they would go, "Ooh, you okay?" I mean, part of it was kind of like, dang, but the other half, I was like laughing pretty hard because, I didn't feel well, and I guess it showed in my face, but it was very funny to me. Anyway, yeah, so it just felt like a really bad cold, and for some reason I was like, let me just go to the doctor, get checked. They ask all the questions. Now, what was fancy. It's like a drive-through service. So you call the doctor, they're like, hey, we can see you at this time. You drive up behind the building. They come out to you. They do the test. While you're in your car, they tested me for strep throat, and they also tested me for both, simply because I asked for it. I wanted to know if I didn't have one, did I have the other? So I go there, I get tested, and they tell you, we're going to do a PCR test on you, which I'm pretty sure it's always been called PCR test, and I'm pretty sure they've been doing them to the end of time, but I've never known so much about how a process works than with COVID, right? Like, I need a PCR test, please give me a PCR test. So they send the test off, but they're like, hey, until you have to quarantine. So that means I can't go to the grocery store. I need to isolate from my babies. I need to kind of not work. But I think I worked every day except for one. There's one day where my chest was burning and I just could not find the energy. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna just work a half day. I know that's stupid, but hey, moving and continuing to move is what fuels me. When I needed to rest, I'm pretty sure I did. On that half day, I just slept the rest of the day, and I think it helped me feel better. But they're saying you can't go anywhere. So being the spouse of a first responder is like, okay, yeah, we know people have lives that you need to save, but I need you to stay here, right? I can't take the children to school. I can't work. I can't go to the grocery store. If there's an emergency, there's nothing I can do. So I need you to stay here, and I need to isolate. And that was tough because my kids don't know isolation. Like, my 5-year-old was like, I'm just going to put on a mask and I'm going to come hug you. It's like, you cannot hug me. Like, I tried to lock myself in a room. They were not, as a mom. Okay, let me just ask this. Have any of you moms, parents, anybody, been diagnosed with COVID or had a situation where you had to isolate from your children? And how did you do it? Like, part of me felt bad. Again, I told you this took a huge mental toll on me. And one of the reasons why is because I felt like as a mom, I let my kids down. Like, I felt like my job is to protect them and keep them from everything, like diseases, harm, danger. And I, as the mom, brought the disease in the house. Now, granted, I may not have been the one that brought it in the home, but hell, I was the one that was diagnosed with it. So in my head as a mom, I was beating myself up like I can't provide for my kids like I'm supposed to because I have to isolate. I didn't have a contingency plan in place as a parent, right? Because I got this thing that, not that I thought I was invisible from, right? I put all the precautions into place, but it's like you doing all the things to keep you safe, and then somehow Omicron just jump all over everybody and just come get you and say, basically, I feel like the Ludacris song, "Move, bitch, get out the way," right? Basically telling me to sit down, sorry, and keep myself still. At least that's what I felt like. And again, you have to call everybody to say, hey, I know we were around each other. I have COVID. I don't know when. And that's the thing too, is like, I don't know when I had COVID, but here are the 17 people that I were around. I don't know. I wasn't around that many people. And then it's like, do you call the grocery store and tell the grocery stores to contact the customers? And then like, what's the contact tracing? How do you contact trace everybody that you've been in contact with and let them know that you have COVID and that they should get tested and all of that stuff? Like, there was no handbook or no manual, and you don't think you're gonna get it, number one. And number two, like, because I've been dodging homeboy for, yeah, I'm gonna say it's a boy, because listen, if it was a woman, she would have learned her lesson and got up out of here by now. So I'm gonna say this a man because they hard-headed. But old boy been around here for years. Old boy had, how many years has he been here now? Since 2019? 2021, 3 years? Like, boo, go somewhere. Like, we are done with you. We are sick of you. But nah, child, he got me. And it's like, all this time I've been dodging you, and I'm ending 2021 with you, and I'm starting 2022. So 2022 started off with the bang for me. I was like, okay, 22, I see how you playing. You got jokes. And they're not funny, but you got jokes. So let's just see how it plays out. And so another thing too is like I felt dirty. I don't know. I don't know. This is like totally weird, but I felt like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong as a parent? Did I not clean enough doorknobs? Should I not have the kids cleaning the doorknobs because they're nasty? Like, did I not put enough bleach in the bathtub? Did I not spray enough Lysol? It's like you second guess everything you did. Like you make these decisions for your family to keep you safe, right? No one coming in your home to clean it so that you don't add extra germs. You don't take your kids to a daycare center or provider, right? Because you're adding an extra layer of exposure to other people's germs. So you do all of those things. You put all of those things into place to keep your family safe. And then the person that's supposed to be the safest because she ain't going nowhere is the person that's diagnosed with COVID. So my brain was mad. Like I was trying to be mad and sick at the same time. And let me just tell you, I wouldn't recommend that. So just go ahead and be sick. You can be sick. And then when you're done being sick, maybe take a little time to be mad or disappointed or whatever. But I wouldn't recommend it doing both at the same time because I was seriously hurting my brain trying to figure out how in the world I got this. How in the world did I let this happen to me? How in the world did I let this happen to my family? And truth is, nobody knows, right? I don't know. Nobody knows. I truly feel like my lifestyle helped contribute for it being as light as it was, right? I know many people have suffered and people have lost their life, and I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm just grateful that I had the stint that I did because I think I'm a little wimp, and if I had anything stronger, I don't know what would have happened, but it was very tough on me mentally, the mental toll that it took on me. And how do I make changes in my family? How do I do things differently? What if I'm not as healthy as I thought? What if this actually takes me out? What if I'm not able to, survive this? Because it wasn't as bad, but there are times when my chest was burning and I'm like, okay, somebody's going to have to take my chest out, like take it out, set it on the table and freeze it or something because it's burning. So there are days when I was like, I thought I had a mild version, but there were days when my chest was like burning and it was hard to breathe and the coughing would hurt and the coughing lingered even after, right? You no longer have it. The coughing lingered for, I guess, weeks after, and the tiredness, the fatigue, oh my gosh, the fatigue, it lingered for like a week after as well. So all of those things were extremely, extremely tough to go through at the moment. And I don't wish that upon anybody, but having to quarantine is, they're like, hey, now you must quarantine from your children. Well, I've been dealing with this for like 3 days, right? And I've been in mommy mode for 3 days. So I'm sure whatever I have, my kids already got it, right? Because for 3 days, I'm thinking I have a cold, maybe a little bit worse than a cold, but I'm thinking I have a cold. So I'm in mommy mode as normal. And so I finally, like I said, go to the doctor. They check me out. They say I'm positive. Well, then it's like, okay, now I got to stay home for 5 days. I have to wear this mask for however many days. But then I need to take these babies, right, to see if they are well. I need to see if, they have anything. But I can't leave the house. So who's going to take them? Daddy's on shift for a couple days. So that was very tough to navigate. But you have to wait a certain days after exposure in order to go get the test. And so my girls had no symptoms, no signs, like no coughing, they were fatigued, like they were both tired, but nothing else, like no coughing, no chest pain, no nothing. They were normal. And so we ended up once I was better, I ended up taking them to the doctor, and they didn't get a PCR test. They got like the rapid test, and the rapid test came back positive. So of course, now they have to quarantine for another 5 days, or however many days it actually seemed like it was forever. But then you have to deal with that as a parent, right? Like I have to make sure that they're learning virtually. I'm still recovering, but now I have to make sure that I'm working. I'm trying to get work done, but making sure that they're still engaged. They're not on their devices all day. Like devices are a blessing and a curse. Like they are great to quickly, okay, listen, mommy has to do something. Let me give this to you. But they are also a curse because I think for me, I rely on it way too much. There are way too many times where I'm like, just watch a movie so I can get through this meeting. Please, just watch a movie. And they're like, okay, or just play a game. But, you know, the blessing is they also have electronic educational games that they can play, like I don't know, Brain Pop and Boom and ABC Mouse, all of those things have been a huge blessing. So I'm grateful for those, but still, it's another layer of let's navigate this. Now, everybody's home except for, you know, the first responder. He doesn't have any symptoms. He's not positive. So he still has to go to work. Like he still has to save lives. He still has to see patients. He still has to respond to calls. Like, is there a fire? Nope. He has to be in the fire station for 24 hours, you know, essentially. So it's like for 24 hours, you have that stress of mother and father. Now, listen, I know it's only 24 hours and there are people out here that are single parents every single day. God bless you. I only do it for 24 hours a couple times, too many times if you ask me, and it takes a toll on me. So I can only imagine how it takes a toll on single parents. So shout out to all the single parents. My mom was a single parent and it is not an easy job and not something I wish on anyone. For me, it's just frustrating because it's like you're a single parent, then you have two parents, then you're single parent, and you have two parents. Like pick one or the other. Let me either do this by myself or let me, you know, let us be a team. But it's very tricky to navigate with, you know, on and off schedules. And sometimes you aren't, sometimes you are. And you have to make sure that you're including your spouse in all of those decisions. So that takes a toll too, right? So it's the frustration of having to navigate this road alone with the kids during COVID. And it's not like your spouse doesn't want to help, sure, but they're first responder. Like they are essential no matter what, anytime. So again, shout out to all the essential workers, line workers, any frontline workers. What you do is amazing and you keep us all running daily. And shout out to their families because during this whole time, you know, I can only imagine the toll that it takes on their families. They don't get, these first responders, first line workers, they don't get a break ever. You know, they have to do what they do for their patients and then come home and do what they do for their family. And I know it's probably never easy on the family members of these people. So shout out to all of the family members of frontline workers, first responders, police officers, nurses, doctors, grocery store workers, cashiers, whoever is still continuing, truck drivers. If you're still continuing to work during this time or you work through this whole thing and your family, shout out to your family because this is truly, truly insane to navigate. No doubt about it. So once my girls were, you know, diagnosed, they both were diagnosed with COVID, even though, you know, no one had any symptoms, not besides fatigue, no one had any other presentable symptoms. You know, they had to be out of school. And so you try to navigate that as a parent. Like I said, you know, trying to make sure they're entertained while they're home. But again, as a parent, you still question, like, you know, should I have not have taken the hug? Should I have not let them come in the room and snuggle with me? All of those things you start to replay in your mind. I think one of the things that I have learned, if there's anything that I have learned from COVID or a positive that I can take from COVID, is never second guess, right? It happened to me because it was supposed to happen to me. Why it happened to me, child, only God knows. but it did happen to me. I did go through it. One of the things that I learned is I am a survivor. Not to be traumatic, like dramatic, like I survived anything major, but I was able to get through it. Like even if I didn't think I would, or it felt like I couldn't, I was able to survive. Even if I didn't understand how I would get the kids to and from or where they needed to be, like we adjusted, we made those changes. And so you learn how strong you are through something like this. Why I got up every single day and worked out, or 5 days a week and worked out, I don't know, but I felt good when I did it. And now looking back, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But in other times, I'm like, yeah, I'm stronger than I think I am. So if there's a situation that I come up against that I don't know or I don't understand or just seems impossible, I try to think upon that moment when I, had COVID in that time, and try to, I don't know, just cheer myself on. Like, girl, if you can survive that, you can survive anything. Now, I'm not saying it was the worst thing that could ever happen to someone. No, but I'm just saying for me, it helped me tap into another level of strength. And I'm so grateful for that level of strength that I was able to conquer, or I felt like I conquered. If you would have asked me before I had it, if I would have thought this is what I would be saying, and the answer would be no, child, no. I didn't want anything to do with Rona, Roni Ron, whoever you want to call it. I didn't want anything to do with it. But now that I've had it, I don't want it again. Let me just say that. But I also did learn a lot about myself when having it and learning what to do. And it kind of like you kind of not as afraid anymore, because I felt like I was running around these streets just terrified. Like, you ever seen like somebody boxing and they're ducking and dodging and trying not to get hit? I felt like that was me. Like I was running around town, ducking as much as I can, trying not to get hit with Rona, trying not to, get it. So I was like ducking and dodging. And it's kind of like stressful. Like you second guess the places you go, the things that you do, because simply you are just trying to duck and dodge this virus. And so after I got it, I was like, oh, okay, like I got it. I was ducking and dodging, and still somehow got it. So it was meant for me to get it. I guess that's kind of how I had to look at it. But the ducking and dodging was very stressful, I will say. I feel like now that I've had it, it's a little less stressful going into public, like ducking and dodging. It's a little less, I don't know, it's a little less stressful than prior. So with all of that, when something major or when something happens, I always try to find, number one, the humor. Like, what can I laugh about? Like, what about this situation is funny that I can laugh about later, right? Let's try to find a humor in it, because otherwise, if we don't laugh, we'll cry. And there were some tears. Now, listen, there were some tears shed in this whole process. And that's simply because I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, they want me to stay at home and I can't. Like, what do people don't understand? So it was like emotional tears, because I felt beat down. I felt defeated. And again, it was like years of ducking and dodging and not getting Rona and then getting it. And it's like, dang, I lost. I'm very competitive. So it's like, oh, I lost. It beat me. But being on the other side of it, I can truly say that I'm not gonna say it was well worth it, child, because that would be somebody else. I'm not gonna say that. I can see all of the lessons that I've learned because of it, and I'm very grateful. So because like I said, I like to find the humor in it. I'm not sure if this is actually funny, but there are some things that I would like to remain after COVID. So I truly believe that we as a nation will get back to normal. That could be naive, but I'm going to just keep on thinking it, because we have to, right? We have to get back to normal. So after COVID is gone, there are some things that I would just like to remain. Now, I know we're supposed to be in a normal setting, But these are the things that I really appreciated about COVID and that I would just really like us to continue to do. So the first thing is social distancing. Yes, ma'am, sir, please and thank you. Social distancing is the best thing since sliced bread. So before COVID, actually sometimes people do it now, but people would be on your heels in the grocery store or standing behind you so close in the line. Back up, like back up, sir, ma'am, back up. Back up. You don't need to be that close to me in the grocery store. Like, you want to get your groceries, I want to get my groceries. You being on my hips ain't gonna get you in the line faster. Just back up. So social distancing was a welcomed thing for me. Like the little lines on the ground. You stand on your circle, okay? And I'm gonna stand on my circle. But don't you come to my circle before I get off my circle. You stay back there, okay? And that's truly how I felt. Let's keep our distance. Like, we don't need to be so close to each other. Like, we are strangers. We don't know each other. I can wave at you from my circle and you can wave at me from your circle. There is no need for us to be up on each other. So if we could just still continue to social distance, I would truly appreciate that very much. And if you are some of the one of those people that like to be on somebody's heel, back up. Okay, there is no need for you to be on somebody else's heel, up on the cheeks, in the backside. Back up. People like their space, they like their privacy. Now, one day somebody gonna turn around and jab you, and you gonna try to blame the person. But if you weren't that close to them, then they would not have jabbed you. So if you are one of those people that do not like personal space, now I'm not talking about your children, because we know these kids around here, they don't believe in personal space for their parents. And I guess to an extent that is okay. But if you are a person running up on random people, taking away their personal space, you should be ashamed, okay? You should just go ahead and back up and mind your own business. Don't be on other people. One day you're gonna roll up on the wrong person. They could have something that you don't want. They could have something you don't want. So, sir, ma'am, if you are one of those people who do not like social distance, I would please ask that you try to start. Okay? All right. Another thing that I would really love to keep post-COVID or post the world returning to normal is excessive cleaning. Yes, please. Like, when you see these places closing and they, have an extra layer of cleaning. So this one place, you can tell that they've cleaned because they put the toilet seats up. So they do a really good cleaning. They thoroughly clean like the bathrooms. And then after they clean every single toilet seat, they put the seats up. So you know that they have been thoroughly cleaned. And then if it's down, somebody has used it. And so now listen, the hard part is getting it down. Of course, you're not touching it with your hand. You're using your feet, your toe. Y'all know men don't have this issue, but women, y'all know we not touching it at all. We using maybe the heel of our shoe, or some people may use toilet tissue or paper. Perhaps you could do that too, but I'm using everything I can to get that toilet seat down. And then obviously you're still not sitting on it, you're squatting. But anyway, those extra precautions or extra measures to clean the stores, like you've seen the signs that says closing early for deep cleaning. Yes, those things are the things that I love. Like, continue to clean your stores, continue to clean places, continue to clean shopping carts. I think they stopped doing that though. But before COVID, I was cleaning my shopping cart. Like, I don't know why. It was just a thing to me. Like, I keep a pack of Lysol wipes in my trunk, and I keep a pack in my purse most times. And I just clean the cart. If they run out of wipes, I always try to have some handy. But cleaning the cart was a thing for me before COVID. It was a thing for sure during COVID, and it will be a thing after COVID. But I would love grocery stores or stores to continue to clean their carts, even though some of the stores stopped. Could you please all continue to provide wipes for us? Because pre-COVID, only grocery stores provided wipes for you to wipe the carts down. Now more stores, like hardware stores, department stores, retail stores, they started including places for you to wipe your carts down. So could we please continue to do that? That is fantastic. I can go ahead and take this bucket of wipes out of my purse. It's not really a bucket, but I can take these wipes out of my purse as long as you all can continue. See, so I don't trust they're going to do that. I'm going to just keep it in my purse because that just seems safer to me. Movie theaters. I am not, I live in a family full of movie heads. Is that movie buffs? Movie buffs. I think that's the right word. My husband and daughters absolutely love movies. And so it was kind of rough for us to not be able to go to movies, but we are and are very thankful for the streaming services. They were a huge help to keep us in that movie theater spirit, that movie theater mindset. But the assigned seats in the movie theater, yes, and yes. I may be the only one, but in the movie theater pre-COVID, don't sit next to me. I don't want to sit next to a stranger in the movie theater. I don't really know what it is. So, just a sidebar. Somebody used to say that I was a germaphobe. Now, let me preface this by saying I don't think I'm a germaphobe, right? I don't have a phobia of germs. I just don't want them. Okay? I think there's a difference, right? I'm not scared of them. I just don't want them. And you shouldn't want them either. How about that? So if me not wanting germs from anybody else means that I'm a germaphobe, then I will take the title. But I truly am not afraid of them. I just don't want nobody else's. Okay? That may not have made sense to you, but it makes so much sense to me. So assigned seating in the movie theater, please keep it. The fact that you can, see your seats and then you choose your two, and if it's next to somebody, you can skip a seat and then choose two more. Now, the only thing that sucks is that if you're in the movie theater and somebody gets tickets after you and they really want to be in that center seat at the very top row and you're at the center seat at the top row, they may get the seat right next to you, which is fine, but I usually switch and let my husband sit next to whoever it is. There's just something about sitting next to someone that I don't know in a movie theater that I've never liked. I don't know how to describe it. I just prefer to sit next to somebody I know or sit next to nobody. I don't have I can't explain it to you. I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but that's all. But I would just like to continue to do that post-COVID. It's a good way to make sure you know what your seats are. If you always running late like me, then you always have your seat. You know what your seat is, especially if you have chosen in advance. Another thing that I want to keep post-COVID is the respect for sick time. So prior to COVID, I felt like people would just run themselves into the ground. Like they would work until they couldn't work anymore because they felt they had to, achieve the next goal or do XYZ for the bosses or exceed expectations. But I feel like during COVID, there was a whole lot more respect for your sick time. So if somebody was like, I'm really not feeling well, now it could just be in my world that I work in, but it would be like, hey, I'm not feeling well. It's like, please don't come in. Please do not come in. You're not feeling well. Stay home, get some rest. We have sick leave. That's what sick leave is for. But just don't come in. And I felt like I heard that more. People saying, hey, I'm not sick. Now, I'm not talking about the people who were abusing it now. I'm not talking about y'all, the people who had COVID every other Friday to go on vacation. We're not talking about y'all. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves for doing that because that ain't right. But I'm talking about people who genuinely are hard workers, who work hard, who may be in those frontline fields, who may have gotten sick. And I hope now, if this is incorrect, and I'm pretty sure it's not like that for everyone, but for me, I felt like it was more respected. If you have a different experience, I would love to hear it. Please share it. I hope one day to be able to have guest co-hosts on the podcast, but child, I'm still trying to figure out my sound and how I do it for me. But that seems like it will be in the future. But please keep that in mind. If you want to be a guest co-host and you want to, chat with me, chat to the folks. But anyway, I got off topic. So for me, I felt like it was a better respect of people's time, sick leave, with COVID. People were just like, yeah, you're sick. You can't come in. On another note, I will say working remotely. Prior to working remote, I know there was a huge population of people who could not work remote. Like there were companies who didn't see that in their future. And after COVID, I feel like a lot more companies have considered it because people were able to prove, hey, I can be home and I can still work. And some people probably just didn't want to be home. So I would say for me, prior to COVID, I was not one of those people who wanted to work from home. I like being in the office. I like being around people. I feed off of energy of others. And then I have a shift, right, from work to home. So going to a physical building for work and being home was my shift. And working from home, you had to learn how to mentally shift. So mentally, I have work here, but I need to mentally shift when it's time for me to be off. So that was a huge blessing for me, I would say, learning how to shift mentally, but it was also great being able to work remotely, right? To still be able to provide for my families, but have the ability to work from home when the children had to be home. Because kids were at school virtually, and child, that is not something that I want to keep. So we will save that for the do not keep section of the program. But working remotely was something that I enjoy, and I continue to enjoy. And I did not expect to enjoy it. Another thing I would say is better gifts for teachers. So let me just apologize to teachers. Not on behalf of everybody. I'm going to apologize to teachers on behalf of myself. So I was the parent that would go to, Bath and Body Works and get, the soaps and the lotions and the candles, because if you got a coupon, okay, we discussed, what is it, coupon or coupon? I don't remember what we landed on, but I had one of them. And you can rack up, okay, especially if you go to Bath and Body Works and you get the $10 candles and you have a coupon. Like, these kids don't have one teacher anymore. It's like 5 teachers for one child and then 5 teachers for the other child. Like, that's 10 teachers. And so if you get 10, that's already $100 for all the teachers. And then you get a card, right? A nice family card. Yay, hooray. And then go ahead and give them these daggone candles. Now, I would like to apologize because I realize that is not a good gift for these teachers. Now, some teachers probably love it, but I felt like it wasn't enough to sincerely thank them for all that they do, right? So I was just merely looking at the convenience. It's convenient for me to go ahead and get these candles, this lotion, and this soap. And my kids truly enjoyed that process. They enjoyed picking out the candles and the soaps. They truly enjoyed that, and signing the cards. They love that part. There are times when my daughter's like, hey, let's buy this teacher a water bottle, like a stainless steel water bottle. Like, girl, I can't do that for all the teachers now. Hold up, slow your roll. But we can do that for some. But now it's like, yeah, I can. Like, I can find a way to make it work because of what these teachers do. So what I want to keep, or I think we should keep, is better gifts for teachers. Like, we really, like, this year, I'm trying to be more practical. Like, what could teachers use? I don't know what teachers want or need, and I don't have the capacity to figure it out. But let's give these teachers Amazon gift cards. At least that's what we did for the teachers this year. Let's give them like candy or some treat that they could use. And then, oh no, we baked cookies. So we baked, before this, I did not do food as a gift, merely because I didn't want to. It's a lot of work baking cookies, especially when you're baking cookies for, 10 teachers, principals, encore teachers, your kid's favorite, whoever in the school, their favorite substitute. That it can get really, really, really pricey. So prior to this, I did not do that. But this year we decided we would do gingerbread cookies because that's our favorite to make as a family. And that was a lot of dozen. I don't even remember how many dozen. We gave each teacher like half a dozen cookies. just thinking about it, I don't even know how we got through it, but we got through it. It was a lot, and it requires planning, which I'm learning to get better at. But I think maybe I didn't do it because I wasn't a good planner. But we getting better. So yeah, we give them a treat, something that they can enjoy, and then something that they could either enjoy for themselves or for their class, whether that be just a Visa gift card or Amazon gift card or just something that we can say thank you. Now, again, what we're giving them could never ever amount to all that they've done for our children. But we just want to say, hey, thank you so much for all that you do throughout the year. Here's a little token for Christmas. And so I say for us, I think we should all just give teachers better gifts. Number one, because they deserve it. And number two, because we can do better. We can do better with getting them better gifts. And so for us, we are going to continue to do that in our household, give better gifts. Another thing I want to keep post-COVID for me is better planning. I felt like having the downtime allowed me to kind of really think more and also help me plan a little bit more. So like if I'm going here, we need to make sure, we have masks or an extra change of clothes, or we need to call in advance to make sure, because during COVID, things were closed. We're during the height of COVID, because I'm not really sure if we're out of it. Somebody let me know. Are we still in it or no? But you had to plan, like, is this place going to be closed or this place going to be open? So you kind of had to call in advance, maybe make a reservation, or just call and see, hey, are you open? Hey, are you still accepting customers? Hey, what time are you closing today? Are you closing early? What's your capacity limit? So all of those things you kind of had to do in advance. You really did have to plan. There are a lot of people who are great planners, and I hope I know you, or I hope to get to know you so I can learn from you, because I really do want to be a better planner, but I always feel like I'm living life in a rush, and that kind of helped me not live life in a rush. So that's another thing that I want to keep, is not living life in a rush. Like, live life slowed down. Pre-COVID, it's like, let's see how many things you can do at once, right? And now it's like, let's see how much time we can spend with family. And one of the things that we did, I think I shared in a previous episode, that we didn't really do anything for spring break. We just all worked. And so we're like, now, okay, not we, my husband traveled, obviously, he was in the military. But my kids always want to travel. And I just learned that I like to travel and I really want to travel. So let's travel. And so we didn't do that previously. And so now it's like, okay, let's take some time. Let's love on each other. Let's travel. It really is okay. So let's continue to spend time with family. Let's continue to love on family members. Because that's amazing, that time that we spent together. Now, some of us realized that we really didn't like our families that much in the pandemic, and I think that's okay too. Like, I thought I really liked you, but I don't. Like, you get on my nerves. I hate the way you chew. I hate the way that you take off your shoes in the middle of this floor and you leave them there after you saw that I just scrubbed this goddamn floor. So some of us learned that we don't like our families as much as we thought we did, and some of us went the opposite way, and we learned that we actually really love our families more than we could ever imagine. And so I think either way, if you're on either side of the spectrum, you learned something during this whole process. And I think once you learn and you know better, you can do better. So to me, that's a win-win. Another thing that I would like to keep, this is, I don't know if it's a big one, but knowing your status. So like having a kit at home, like a COVID testing kit at home, just seems amazing to me. Like, before you go to any major function or before you go anywhere, you have the ability to test yourself and get yourself out of it. Like, look, I ain't gonna be able to go. Now, some of us introvert, I'm not an introvert, but I have a lot of friends who are introvert who probably love this also, because it just be like, oh, I can't go. I'm not feeling well. I'm just not going to go. And I think that's okay too. I love introverts just because I'm more of an extrovert, but when I have had too much of the extrovertism, that's not a word. When I've been extroverting too much, okay? When I've been talking to people too much, it's really a cool thing for me to do. just go sit alone and have some time by myself, and I absolutely enjoy that. So I love I love introverts for that. So I would say knowing your status is great. One of my friends, shout out to Alicia, had a party for New Year's, and one of her messages was like, look, before you come to this party, know your status. Know your status, which is why, I couldn't go to her New Year's party because, hey, I was like, I'm not feeling well. Let me go get tested. It was positive, so I couldn't go to the party. But I was very like, that's a genius idea. Like, tell people, listen, know your status before you come to this birthday party. Know your status. If your baby got a runny nose and they don't feel good, don't come to this birthday party. Like, I know you were invited, yes, and we know you RSVP. But if you can't come, then don't come. Like, the expectations of having to do things, I think, have been lifted. Is that true? I feel that. Like, there is no expectation anymore. Or maybe it's just me. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to go to that party. So I'm not. Well, for me, a lot of times I want to go to the parties, but my schedule is crazy bananas with two children. Sometimes my calendar is booked for a month in advance, just on the weekends, right? So I have a full-time job. I'm a parent. I have this as my extracurricular activity, as my hobby. And then my kids are in sports. So, and they play instruments. So they are always doing something. So when I have any available time, I just want to sit down, child, and have quiet and maybe eat something. But yeah, and also I want to keep like them not packing restaurants. I feel like before they would pack restaurants and you would kind of like be sitting on top of each other because they would just try to get as many chairs as they could in there as possible. But I feel like, and I hope post-COVID that they don't do that as much anymore, because that is great, being able to, eat your food and not have somebody looking all in your face because they really right next to you, or breathing down your neck or staring at you. Like, it is lovely to have your own seat or table at a restaurant. So I hope they no longer pack us in restaurants or any place like sardines, because it truly feels great to not have that. So something else, something else that I'm going to keep, I hope we don't keep it as a nation, but I'm going to keep it, and that's masks in the winter. So during the winter, my kids play soccer sometimes when it's cold in the winter, or my husband and I, we go on walks on Sundays and it's brutally cold outside. And one of the things that would keep my face warm was a mask, even the paper mask. Like, if it was truly, truly cold, I would have, gloves on, a hat, and a hood, but your face is still exposed. So I would grab a mask and put it on my face, and it truly warmed it up. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really did like most of this. Obviously, I was outside. I wouldn't say most of the time, but when I would have it for these walks or at soccer games, I'm outside, and I'm near no one. But it's just, it would keep my face warm, and I really, really liked it. I think that sounds strange. We had really good masks that you were able to breathe in and function in, so maybe that's why too. But yeah, I would just put a mask on my face and it would warm me up at the soccer game, and I would be happy. But I mean, you couldn't hear me cheering for my child, because it was like it was muffled by the sound of the mask, but I was warm. So it is what it is. But I do think I'm gonna keep my mask. I'm not gonna have a burning party. I'm not gonna burn any of them. I'm gonna keep them, and in the winter when I'm walking, or if I'm walking, I think I'm gonna bring them back out of retirement if we truly ever get rid of them. So I'm running low on time, but there are some things that I do want to get rid of and never do again. But I don't really have time, so I'll just say the one, and that's virtual school. If I never ever hear, see, or breathe virtual school, it would be too soon. Virtual school was one of the toughest things I ever had to do. When my husband was home, he would take the brunt of it. and he would be frustrated. But then if he wasn't home, I would try to have to work and do virtual school. And virtual school for a toddler is just people showing their dogs and look what I got, look what I found. Like they not really paying attention. They just trying to one up each other, right? Oh, I have a dog. Oh, I have a dog too. Oh, look, I just dug in my nose. Ew, I could do that too. Like it really, it really was a ish show for the younger ones. But the bigger kids is like, I think it was tough because listen, child, I don't know this math. I do not know this math. I don't know this history. I don't, as you can hear me talk, I don't know this English either. Like I don't know any of this stuff. And it's like, it felt like punishment. Like I did my 12 years. I served my 13 years. I did my time. It is over for me. Like I should not have to go back. And I'm not saying that our teachers are terrible or anything. I'm just saying school was tough for me. Not tough. It's just a grind. Like it's once you get it over with, some people are lifelong learners and I love those people. And I felt like I wanted to be at that point, but I don't have the attention span to sit there that long and learn. Especially when it's not a subject I'm not interested in. I just don't have the brain power and the capacity to do that. But I know there's people who love, that structure and learning. I'm a life learner. That doesn't make sense. I'm constantly learning, but in life, or I'm researching, not more or less sitting in the classroom. But I would love to do that again. But anyway, it was very, very tough trying to figure out. I will say thank the Lord for Google, because I would be Google. What is the square root of, I don't even know. I don't even remember that. Plus, at the time, my daughter had tutoring. So she could no longer go to her tutor facility. We had to check her tutoring work. Oh my goodness. I was you talking about heated? Like, not only am I paying you an arm, a leg, and a thigh to tutor my baby, but now the arm, leg, and thigh that I'm paying you, I still have to pay you, but I'm checking the work? What kind of sense does that make? Why am I checking the work? Now, I know you have to check after your child to make sure that you do them, but what they would do is go page by page and check to make sure that they were answering and they had the right responses. And if they didn't have the right responses, there was a process where they would redo it, or they would go over it and kind of solve it. Like, okay, you got this wrong. Here's how you get. Now that was no longer done by the tutor. That ended up being done by me initially. Later in that process, the tutoring did turn into virtual, but in the beginning it was, oh my goodness. Y'all, we survived. So no more virtual school, no more virtual learning. And that's simply because I'm not good at it. And I don't want to steer my child in the wrong direction or give them the wrong information or set them up. Yeah, no more virtual school ever. If they never do it again, it would be too soon. So that is my experience on COVID. If you have had COVID or dealt with COVID and you want to share your experience, please look for me on social media, Life Love Laughter _NIKKI. That's on Instagram and TikTok. I would love to hear about your story and from your perspective. Again, I'm not trying to debate anyone's experience or if it is real or not. I'm just simply sharing my experiences with you, how it went for me, and then some of the things that I would just like to keep once this is all over. If there are some things that you appreciated about COVID, as crazy as the time was, is there something that you found to be helpful that you would like to keep? Please share that with me also on social media. Again, Life Love Laughter _NIKKI on TikTok and Instagram. And if you haven't already done so, please make sure you download the Spin Wax Radio app. That is how you can listen to your girl every Saturday at 11 a.m. and on Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, do something that brings you joy, makes you laugh, and speaks to your soul. I love you guys. Have a good week.